All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I want to talk about today is basically how much of our life is unexpected or things that happen to us unexpectedly. Is that the word? And I really think, for the most part, life is just constantly about not only change, but things coming into your life that you have no control over. Not only your life, but others as well. So, right now, we're going through this coronavirus situation right now. And I'm not going to sit and start talking shit about that whole thing. I mean, I think we all heard of it's all we hear about, for the love of God. But what I am going to say regarding this is something I am going to be putting a YouTube video up, which is kind of what made me think about doing it. Something regarding something similar on my podcast. So on my YouTube video, I kind of talked about trying to prepare the best you can for the unexpected when trying to stay in shape or keeping fit. Because I don't think a lot of people realize regarding that subject is how, even if you work out and you're in decent shape, right? A lot of times what people aren't prepared for is if they get injured, obviously, they could get sick or emergencies come into their life or others as well. You never know what's going to happen. Also, you may lose your job. All these different types of things may be coming in and out of your life, right? And you can't control it. So, but you being in the best shape possible, or at least to your ability, I think is going to help you a lot. And like I'm hearing a lot about, the virus, everybody has to stay home, stay home, stay home. I'll be honest, I haven't stayed home once. But just because I have a mental thing where I don't believe I ever get sick, and the reality is I don't. That doesn't mean I'm not a carrier, I can't spread it, but I'm not saying I've been out partying. But I have been walking, I've been exercising. If I need things in the grocery store or things in that nature, I go get them. I'm not living in fear, and I hope a lot of others aren't as well. But if you do feel more comfortable staying home, I 100% get it. If they tell us that we have to stay home, I'm going to have a problem. I'll be honest with you, but we're not there yet. But back to, and you may disagree with that, and I get it. But back to kind of, preparing yourself for the unexpected. And that sounds kind of whack, because how do we prepare for something we don't know is coming, right? But a lot of times we do, I think, know what's coming if you're older, especially. So I use, for example, I bought different properties before and have been burned many times in my life regarding those properties, because a couple times when I owned homes, the market just crashed, and all of a sudden you have a home worth a certain amount of money, and then it takes a shit. Now it's worth 40% less, right? And you own you owe all this other money. And this time around, I was going to buy another house, and I've been dragging my feet on it because I thought, I just personally felt that something else was coming. I always feel like every 10 years, it seems like, in my opinion, or 12, whatever, the economy goes up and then there's a crash. It goes up and then there's a crash. And I am by no means a financial advisor, but I just said something, if it goes wrong this time, I don't want to demolish myself. I've done it in my past. I don't want to get in a situation where, rent or everything is too high, car payments are too high, where I would strap myself to death and just add all these added pressures on me. And if you listen to a lot of my podcasts, I try to help, especially younger people, prepare for the future. And that does not mean not living the life you want to lead, right? But I do tell a lot of people regarding preparing that a lot of things that you think you want, you may want, but for a short amount of time. It doesn't mean you want it forever. And that could even be a car. You may think you want a Ferrari. And if you can afford a Ferrari, you're a multimillionaire, God bless. But if you have to make payments on any type of car that is kind of out of your reach, if you want to become house poor, you get a house that, is just too much money to maintain. All those type of things, I can assure you, they may sound great when you're purchasing them, but in the long run, after all the stress that is involved with maintaining certain things, is what you kind of, I think, want to avoid. Because stress-free is where it's at. Now, no one's going to be stress-free in life, because talk about the unexpected, especially if you get married, you have children. If you have parents, they're going to get older, and you're going to deal with, no matter if it's you, parents, siblings, colleagues, friends, whoever it is, family members, you're going to deal with sickness, death, all these different types of things. But I'm telling you, what's interesting is, regarding preparing a little bit, is just try to prepare your life, because all these unexpected things are going to happen, but just being a lot more prepared. And again, when I say prepared, that doesn't mean stop doing what you want to do or going after your goals, any of those type of things. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is being prepared if the bottom falls out. And I'll go back to my daughter. My first daughter had a liver transplant, and you never think you're going to have sick children. Now, my other daughter actually has type 1 diabetes, and then I have a lot of other family members that have children now with type 1 diabetes, a lot of my cousins, which came out of nowhere. And I'm not just talking one, I'm talking a couple more besides my daughter, some special needs, some ended up in wheelchairs, multiple sclerosis, I think that's what they have. I don't want to misstate what she has. Also, autism. And again, we're not prepared for that, right? But we can learn from that. And if you've ever gone through something where maybe, I've lost my job over the years. I haven't had a ton of jobs, I should say, but I have fallen sometimes on hard times when I didn't need to fall that hard. I just spent way too much money and had a way more extravagant lifestyle than I should have probably had. And I'm here to tell you, man, bank your bread, at least a portion of it, and save for a rainy day. I don't care if you're 12, 20, 30, 50. Okay, and if it never comes, God bless. But if it does come, like what a lot of people are dealing with this coronavirus situation, you got to be prepared, not only for you. And I tell people a lot of times, you don't realize how many other people's lives you affect. I know, if you have a family, of course your kids are going to get affected, or your husband or wife is going to be affected. Maybe your parents or your siblings, whatever. But it's not only what it affects everyone financially, but emotionally, man. You don't realize a lot of our behavior when the bottom falls out, and I've always said when your back is against the wall, that's truly who you are. Like when you hit rock bottom, and if you can pull out of that, or by the way you treat other people, you're not jealous, vindictive, you won't steal, you don't get nuts. That's when the bottom falls out and you're still there to help yourself and others, I think that's a sign of an amazing type of person. And I'm sure you've seen people that are wealthy that are big pieces of shit. And you've also have seen people that are wealthy that are extremely generous. And the same goes for people that have nothing. I think for the most part, most people I know that have nothing, a lot of them are the most generous people I've ever seen. And it may not come in finance. It may come in time. They give you their time. Or they'll give you what they can give you, right? And that's pretty damn amazing. But again, when it comes to the unexpected, I just want people to realize, that this is going, I'm not saying coronavirus is going to happen again, but shit's going to hit the fan. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to hit you. You know what I'm saying? So for everyone's sake, try to be prepared. And also, this is something back to the fitness thing. A lot of people are being told that they have to stay home for long periods of time. And I think a lot of people are like, cool. This is like a vacation. I get to just stay home. I'm going to watch a ton of TV, relax, watch YouTube, Netflix, maybe do some, organizing around the house or your apartment or whatever the case may be. But a lot of people, I think, are going to be eating a lot more foods than they should be. They're not going to exercise because it's an excuse why they can't. But I'm here to tell you, man, back to the unexpected, the better shape you're in when the shit hits the fan again, the better off you're going to be, man. If you're letting yourself get out of shape or obese and something happens, it could even be an illness, or it could be, you needing to be in better shape to help others through their illness, or just feeling better about yourself. Try to be in the best shape you can. It does not mean you have to go out and run a marathon, I tell people. That does not mean you have to go to a gym and work out 5 days a week. What I'm trying to say to a lot of people regarding getting fit is just try to stay in decent shape. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a master in yoga. You don't have to, be a power lifter. You don't have to be, a black belt in karate, hypothetically. I'm just using for different examples. You just got to try to be in shape, right? And if you want to do all those other things, wonderful. I'd recommend doing anything. And you also, during this time of having to be, quarantined, I guess you could say, try to start focusing in how you can help yourself physically better. Because I think a lot of us have been we neglect a lot of our body or our health because we're so busy. And sometimes you don't realize it. And I call it, sometimes you're in the shit so deep you don't even realize how bad it stinks. But I think from a physical standpoint, a lot of people don't feel that good, or they're neglecting their health, especially middle-aged. So definitely pay attention to that and focus in. So if you have a big gut, hypothetically, and you want to lose some damn weight, in these 2 weeks, maybe come up with a plan on how to lose this weight. Maybe start changing a little bit of your nutrition. That doesn't mean change your whole damn diet, I tell people. Hold on, let me get some water here. I'm saying, look back, see what type of lifestyle you've been leading. Why did you gain this weight? You most likely already know. But now that you've gained it, how am I going to lose it? Not gain more weight, right? Same with if you're not in that great of shape, and I get it. Instead of, say, you get quarantine or whatever happens, or we have to stay in our house, I shouldn't say quarantine, but if they want us to not go out if they say it's 2 weeks, it's a month and a half, again, if you're out of shape now, what do you think you're going to be in 2 months? You're going to be in worse shape. So again, take this time to really focus in. Go do things now that you have time that are physical, that'll help you get in better shape. Maybe even if you did work out, say, an hour a day for 3 times a week, add in another hour. Maybe add another, 5,000, 10,000 more steps to go walk. Maybe do some things with your kids that are more physical. Maybe do some yoga in your house. Whatever the hell it is, I promise you, if you do get sick, right, and you're in better shape, or you're in good shape or decent shape compared to out of shape, hopefully that's going to help your body. I think it's going to, most likely. If you're out of shape or you're not feeling good and then you get sick, as you know, sometimes that can cause other issues. Now, again, I'm not talking about people that are very sick or that have health issues. I'm talking about just the average Joe out there that isn't really having any medical, they're not sick, if you know what I'm saying. If you're sick, that's a whole different thing. I want you to take care of yourself the best you can in the way you can, right? So I don't want to get those two things confused, but please take care of yourself and be prepared, again, because you never, ever know. I just heard a friend got hit, an old friend of mine. I haven't seen him in years. I was asking about him, and then I just found out he got hit by a garbage truck in New York and got killed. Not to bring up bad news here, but I was like, and he's a young guy. He's younger than me, I think, by 10 years. It was actually when I was working at Neiman Marcus, I came and replaced him. He was leaving, I was coming in. So to make a long story, I was shocked. But there's a lot of different things going on in people's lives, obviously, that are happening, that are constantly unexpected. And back to you, it could be a divorce that's around the corner for you, a breakup. It could be an illness. It could be your children, like I was discussing earlier, friends, and all these type of, things that are constantly coming at us that we have no control over. And how we handle those things and is really huge, especially when you start realizing when they start compounding. And I have some family members that are having a lot of problems with some illnesses now, and I can see how some of my family's reacting, and they're more stressed and more aggravated and getting more angry, which is understandable. And then sometimes you look at the other family members, how they're handling it very cordial, they more handling it the way it probably should be handled, if that makes sense. And kind of putting people more at ease than kind of raising the tension, if that makes sense. So again, our behavior, and I always discuss this with self-awareness, please be aware of your behavior more than anything, regardless what situation that you come across. And I know that's hard at times, not to flip out, get mad, scream and yell. But a lot of times I don't think people really, really realize how their behavior is so toxic sometimes when dealing with a lot of things, especially when it's unexpected, because we don't want to deal with that shit. And I get it, no one does. But you can't control anything that's further than 3 feet from you. So do your best, and be prepared emotionally. I always think in my head, I don't overdo it. I have a father that overanalyzes everything. So the overanalyzers, where you have some people that are constantly like living in fear, like this is going to happen, and then what am I going to do, and then this, and then this, and this, and then I die, and if I die, who's going to take, or if I don't die and I get sick, who's going to take, who's going to do this, who's going to do that? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we? It's always that, and that becomes exhausting. I'm just telling you, if you are that type of person, give people a break, and take a breather. Not, and I get some people have anxiety and all that type of thing, but if you catch yourself, I've caught myself. My behavior was making a lot of people nuts, and I discussed that on previous podcasts, especially when things came into my life that were unexpected. Instead of me trying to handle it a certain way, I'd lash out or I'd want to attack. And in my opinion, that's not right. It's not fair to yourself or others, especially if you have a family, members, friends, colleagues, or whatever. Learn to absorb what is going on and do the best with it that you can. And I also think I'm going to wrap it up here. A lot of times when something, not deaths in family or things of that nature, but when something sometimes happens in your life that you think is really, really bad, or that's going to, in the future be even worse, whatever the case may be, it gives you a chance to really look at your life. And sometimes those bad turns into good. And I know that sounds crazy. It's hard to see that when it's going down, but I discussed that in my this program, especially when dating different types of women or women dating men, is a lot of times at the beginning when you're dating someone and they break up with you or ghost you, I'll just use for example, or it didn't work out, you're like, oh my God, you feel like it's the end. But then in time you heal, and then you end up finding someone else. And the reality is, a lot of times you're happy that it didn't maybe work out with the one previously, because then you heard maybe what situation they ended up in, but you're happy with who you ended up with, right? So that's just, I'm using that for an example, but please pay attention to those type of things, all right? I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, just go to my richcelenza.com. I got a lot of YouTube videos really concentrating lately on fitness. I think I'm going to jump back into my Mastering Self-Confidence program stuff to try to help men regarding different subjects on that. You could check that out as well if you'd like. I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All right? All right, take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.